Hi, everybody. It's Ricky Heller here from rickyheller.com, your Candida lifestyle expert. What I do is I help people on anti-Candida diets or any restricted diets learn to love their food and cook again so that they can love their food and live well in the real world. And well, I don't know about where you are, but around here, it's already holiday season. We're deep into the holidays. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how we can navigate and get through this season on our restricted diets in a way that we can still eat delicious food and also eat food that is good for us and is going to help our bodies to heal, because that can be a challenge, especially if it's your first time through the holidays on a special diet. So I have 4 tips for you that I want to talk about. And number one, I'll get right to it, is be prepared. This is actually number one and number two. So first of all, be prepared when it comes to your food. And I always say this, it's a great idea to bring something with you if you can, if you're invited somewhere for the holidays. Bring a savory dish and a sweet dish. And that way you are always covered no matter what part of the evening. When people are eating dinner, you've got something savory. When people are eating dessert, you've got something sweet. If we have a few drinks later on, you can stick with your sweet and so on. So it's a great way to ensure that you always have something that you know is safe for you. That's if you're invited somewhere else, and obviously it's even better if you can host the party and then you're totally prepared with all the food. But I also want to talk about the second way that you can be prepared, which is to be prepared for other people's well-meaning comments. So it's inevitable. It's going to happen. If you are following a restricted diet for health reasons, somebody at some point is going to question it or challenge you or try to get you to eat something that's not on your diet. You know, when I go to my families for holidays, to my family for the holidays, there is always a huge buffet table of lots and lots of food, most of which I don't eat. So I will usually bring something and my family will attempt to accommodate me, but they're not going to make every single dish anti-candida because for them, that's extra work. So it happens every time. Somebody says to me, are you eating enough? Are you sure you're getting enough protein? Or something like, aren't you going to be missing some nutrition if you only eat those foods? And my answer is always the same. Do I look malnourished to you? So in my case, that gets them laughing. And because I happen to be carrying a little bit of avoir de poids, then they can't say otherwise. So that's a great answer in my case. For someone else who maybe isn't carrying a bit of extra weight or has lost weight on the anti-candida diet, then you might come up with another answer. But I think the key here is to keep it light. And if you can get someone giggling or smiling, then they're just going to stop with the pushing. And so that's going to be the end of the conversation. It's a very polite way to cut off that kind of conversation. And then you can go on and enjoy the rest of your meal. So that's the second thing. The third thing I call MRI. So most of us are familiar with the acronym TMI, which stands for too much information. I want you to go the other way. Minimal required information, MRI. Because you don't have to tell everybody and their sister that you are on an anti-candida diet or a gluten-free diet or a sugar-free diet or whatever it happens to be for you. They don't need to know. And as long as the food they're eating looks and tastes delicious, they're not going to even care. They don't have to have that information. So I would say, unless someone specifically asks you, I would not volunteer more than I need to. Just to give you an example, years ago when I was first teaching at the college where I teach, we had a Christmas party at the dean's house. And at that time, I was probably eating meat once in a while, fish, eggs, cheese, that kind of thing. And so there was this big platter of cocktail hot dogs, you know, those little mini hot dogs stuck with toothpicks. And I hadn't tried one, and these were really good. So I had another one. And I turned to one of my colleagues and I said, wow, you know, those hot dogs are really, really good, aren't they? And she looked at me and she said, those aren't hot dogs. That's octopus. Oh my goodness. Well, you know, I felt like I was about to lose my octopus. But the only thing that had changed was that now I knew that it was octopus and not hot dogs. So I still like the taste. I still had enjoyed it. I hadn't enjoyed it any less before I knew, right? So in that case, less information was better. And so the same thing can apply at the holidays. if you're feeding people healthful food that happens to be gluten-free or happens to be sugar-free and they love it, why go and spoil that by telling them specifically that it's healthy? So you don't have to share more than you want to unless you're asked. For me, that's worked like a charm. And then the fourth point has to do with that food that you cook and that you share. And I say always rely on the experts. For these kinds of important situations, I don't want to be experimenting. I don't want to be trying something I've never tried before unless I'm absolutely sure that I can trust that person's recipes. So I go with my experts. Of course, at this stage of the game, I'm going to go with my own recipes because I've developed them. And that's why I developed an ebook specifically for Thanksgiving. So some of you know that I run a club called the Sweet Life Club, where we support each other and we get new recipes every month that are all anti-candida friendly. And that's at, it's the Sweet Life Club. However, last year, I got so many positive comments from people who had used our Thanksgiving menu that I wanted to share it with more people. And so I compiled just the Thanksgiving menu into a digital cookbook. It's got green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole, a roast, a stuffed roast with gravy, Brussels sprouts, 2 kinds of pie for dessert. It's got muffins for brunch the next day. Basically, anything you will need for your Thanksgiving menu. And I can confidently say that I know even people who are not on an anti-candida diet will love this food because not only have I served it to friends and family, but all the people in the club did last year, and they were just amazed that their family had absolutely no idea this was special diet food. So that's what I would say. If you want to check out the ebook, I will leave a link below. You can check it out. But if you have somebody else that you like and that you follow and whose recipes you know are foolproof and are going to work with other people who aren't on specifically gluten, dairy, egg, sugar-free diets, then go for it. Go for those. But the idea here is to use recipes that you know will be enjoyed by everyone. And then there's no need to even mention at all that these are particularly special or that they contain restricted ingredients. And so that's the way I hope you can really enjoy your holidays. So just to recap, you want to be prepared with your own food. You want to be prepared with responses to people who are going to ask you about your food. And I would even practice those at home. You want to stick with MRI, minimal required information. And then finally, number 4 is find some recipes that you know will work not only for you, but for everybody, so that you can proudly serve them to people and the whole room is going to be able to enjoy that food and relish it. And you will know that you are continuing to eat food that is good for your body and that's going to help you heal, because that's the most important thing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. But even more importantly, if you happen to know someone who maybe this is their first year through the holidays on an anti-candida diet, or their first holiday season having gone gluten-free or sugar-free or something like that, I hope you will share this with them so that they can get some tips on how to make it through and stick with it and not fall off the wagon. Because that's, for most of us, that's really a tough situation where you fall off the diet and then you have to get started all over again. It's so much better to just breeze through the holidays and know that you're eating food that's really, really good for you. So, okay, everybody, I hope that was helpful. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoy some pumpkins of the season, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.